All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Dive into Real Estate Investing for Newbies podcast. I have a very special guest on the show today. His name is Mark Willis. I'll just read a brief introduction about Mark. Mark is a certified financial planner, a two-time #1 best-selling author, the owner of Lake Growth Financial Services, a financial firm in Chicago, Illinois. Over the years, he has helped hundreds of his clients take back control of their financial future and build their businesses with proven tax-efficient financial solutions. He specializes in building custom-tailored financial strategies that are unknown to typical stock jockeys, attorneys, or other financial gurus, which I like. Sounds like he go against all tradition. He's also a co-host of Not Your Average Financial Podcast, which I'm sure he'll share that at the end or towards the end. So welcome to the show, Mark. Appreciate you being here.
Cecil, so glad to be on, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So Mark, tell us about your journey. You know, how did you get into financial planning? Where did this all start?
Well, some people might ask, how did Briar Rabbit get stuck in the tar? Because that's sort of how I got started in financial planning.
Right.
We were mired in student loan debt. Is how I got started in finance. We graduated from our 3 private school degrees with tons of student loan debt in the midst of the Great Recession, and had just absolutely no plan to pay it off. It was like every single night, every month was a stressful event to just cover the bills, because we had this massive burden of a student loan payment that just would not go away. And we graduated with no real jobs really in the midst of the recession. So it was a great way to start our finances. Oh, by the way, we didn't keep a budget or really watch that. So we really got off on the right foot, you might say. But my wife was very patient and very long suffering with my ignorance when it came to money. And eventually, and very, very abruptly, because bills have this funny way of wanting to be paid every month. So we pretty quickly realized this money thing wasn't going to fix itself. And so we studied and worked and began to really just feel around in the dark, basically, for what this money thing was. And finally stumbled across some strategies that made sense for us. I eventually started working for a CPA, doing some tax prep for her, and got to hear some pretty remarkable phone calls she had with folks in the midst of the Great Recession saying, "I'm sorry, Mr. Client, but I just lost you like your like half your life savings." That was a couple of, pretty devastating phone calls. And kind of came to a point, Cecil, quite honestly, where I was ready to be done with the financial profession and look for another type of work. Because I just didn't want to be building up these house of cards for folks only to watch them come tumbling down. So that's a little bit about my background. You might say I'm a post-recession planner. I ended up getting a CFP, Certified Financial Planner designation. And now, amidst Zoom and telephone, we work with clients all across the country to help build solvent, sane financial strategies that can help people overcome financial challenges. And we particularly are focused on helping clients become their own banker and become their own source of financing to help them with their real estate ventures and more.
Right. So I think just like what you just said about student loan debt, which I think that is maybe half of the U.S., even with President-elect Biden in office, who's trying to kind of postpone a lot of the, so So now you're actually helping people in this arena. So tell me, like, you hear a lot of people that they tell you, well, yeah, I got a financial planner. Then they ask the question, well, is he actually investing, or is he actually doing the business? Almost like I talk about real estate, but am I really in the business doing real estate, or am I just talking about it? So you sound like a guy, like with your intro, it sounds like you are, now I wouldn't say totally against, but the traditional way of doing things. You have taken everything you've learned and kind of just was like, nah, man, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to help people. And tell us a little bit about that. So after you was under somebody, you learned, and then you kind of ventured off into your own? Like, how did you transition? Did you get teaching on that? Were you a coach, or did somebody mentor you, or what?
Well, it was a couple of light bulb moments. The first was just, I really respected the wonderful CPA I worked for at the time. She did do great work. I think she was a great tax strategist, nationally recognized CPA. But she had the main view, the oh so average view of financial planning. Put it all in the market, defer your taxes, defer those problems into the future, hope and pray strategies that the market will go up. Because it always does, right, Cecil? It always does.
Right.
So it was a quick splash of cold water to the face. It was like being dropped into the front lines of a war as I was just starting my financial profession in the midst of that recession. And now we're here in this one. And it feels like we're doing this all over again. Now, in the last 90 days or so, I've heard clients calling me saying, Mark, this is like a slow train wreck happening to my business. Rent moratoriums on the real estate, having trouble with paying the mortgage on your properties. And yet we're seeing stock markets hitting record highs. So what's going on? And student loans being forgiven, possibly. So what's going on with GameStop and so many more things that are happening in this market today? It just really is remarkable that we keep repeating the same thing. It's like Groundhog Day over and over again. We've had 3 major market crashes since the year 2000, with volatility not going away. That's for sure. We're not done with volatility yet. So as I looked into my future, both on a personal level and as a profession, I asked myself, what kind of life do I want to live? And I realized amidst some conversations with my wife and other people I care about, that where we kept our money would make us feel and act different. That it matters where your money lives, because when your money is in a certain something, it'll do different things. A 401k makes your money act different than a real estate property or a savings account or a hedge fund. It's just where your money lives makes it have different characteristics. And yes, real estate has a great place in the portfolio of ours and others. There's reasons to keep, there's a reason why real estate goes clear back to the pyramids as a place for the very wealthy to preserve and grow their wealth. And yet there was some things that really troubled me. Again, in 2008, real estate was not having a good day in 2008. So it got me looking for, what do I want my money doing for me? And that's really what brought me to this strategy called Bank on Yourself. But before I get to that, I just want to maybe let your listeners in on a question that was rattling around in my mind, which was, what do I want my money to do for me? And as I got my CFP training, and even before that, there was it's kind of a short list of characteristics that I wanted my cash to have. And I just I was spitballing. I was like, okay, I don't even know if this is possible. I don't know if this is even, available in any of the real financial products out here. But here's my wish list. Here's my dream list of what I want my money doing for me. I want it to have a good competitive rate of return that would beat inflation. I want it to be accessible to me, not locked up for 30 years. I want it to have some sort of access without taxes due or penalties to get my money out. I want it to be safe from creditors and people trying to sue me and predators and such, especially if you're going to do any kind of real estate. Super important to make sure that you're not exposing your cash to lawsuits and frivolous stuff like people slipping on a banana peel outside your rental property. If you know what I'm talking about. If you're in rentals, if you're in real estate, if you're a landlord, it's a matter of when, not if. So that was a big deal for me to protect that cash from that sort of nonsense. And we could keep going. Some sort of capacity to access the money and leverage it for more dollars. That was important to me. And, leave money to my family income tax free, where it's not getting burdened with income taxes when I pass away. That was kind of my checklist.